What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka All Fires. Now, if you've been following channels like mine, you'll know that weeks ago at a wrap party, there were several people who were gifted a merchandise bag that had all of the costumes and characters embroidered on the side. And as we remarked during that video and breakdown, one of the interesting details was that everyone who was included in that first round of cast announcements was on that bag, really begging the question, are there additional cast members to Avengers Doomsday? Well, we got a major confirmation last night coming from a trusted industry insider source that not only confirmed Chris Evans, but his role in the film, and then went on to talk about certain cast details as they are important for Doomsday, including one enormous cameo for a fan favorite character that we haven't had in the MCU just yet. We're breaking it all down, this latest industry insider update for the cast for Avengers Doomsday, including this newest confirmation of Chris Evans' return. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. Thanks to everyone who's been subbing lately and helped grow the channel. We've been growing at an insane pace. And if you haven't already, whether you're just finding us or you've been rocking with the channel for a while, I would just kindly invite you to hit the sub button. It's the #1 thing you can do to support us. Plus, it'll enter you for all the giveaways. Again, all you got to do be a sub, leave a comment. If you want, stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so this is the latest update according to industry insider Daniel Rickman. You guys can follow him over on Twitter at RBK News, and if you're somehow not familiar with his name, he's probably the most active and trusted source in the Marvel scoop game outside of Jeff Snyder over the last 2 years. His track record goes a lot further past that, plus big Hollywood trades often re-report on his scoops. Take that as you will. This was his latest update via Patreon late last night. Quote, "I can confirm that Chris Evans is in Avengers Doomsday and plays a major role in the story. Besides him, the announced cast are the main players in this story. There are also multiple cameos from other characters, including Ghost Rider." Okay, so this actually helps clarify a lot of questions we've been having over the last couple of weeks about what's really going on with the cast. First and foremost, and as we mentioned, what was embroidered on the side of that merch was the main cast from the announcements in the chairs, 1-to-1. There were no additional characters, there were no characters missing. That really made it seem like maybe all of these reports of a second casting announcement were false. And I think that's still true. I do not think we're going to get another round of chair cast announcements, even though Robert Downey Jr. and Marvel Studios basically openly talked about it on social media about adding more names. Those names like Chris Evans, Ghost Rider, etc., which we're going to get into, probably won't have a cast announcement. They'll probably save those for either major trailer reveals during the marketing or for the film itself, especially if it's a smaller cameo, like I'm going to assume Ghost Rider is going to be, not just because of his language in the scoop, but because, let's be real, they have a lot of characters they need to focus on, namely Doctor Doom, and now that we know that Chris Evans is returning as Steve Rogers, add that onto the 616 characters, the Fantastic Four, the returning Fox X-Men. Yeah, where's the room to follow Ghost Rider through 30 minutes of a script? There's not. So those cameos, expect them to be small, either in action sequences or for establishing what's going on across the multiverse. But conversely to that, Daniel Rickman is confirming that Steve Rogers is going to play a major role in the film. Outside of that cast that's been confirmed, he'll be a major player, which again, keeping in mind, they don't have too much room to add any other major players. They've got to go back and revisit Steve Rogers' storyline from when we last saw him in Avengers Endgame, which sort of retroactively starts to confirm a lot of leaks and rumors that place Steve Rogers at the center of what's going on in Doomsday and some of Doom's motivations, as it's been heavily rumored that Doom will be hunting Captain America because of an incursion he caused when he went back in time to return the Infinity Stones in Mjolnir and then didn't return to where he should have in 616 and instead lived out his life with Peggy Carter. And spoiler warning for this next part if you somehow haven't caught videos or leaks and rumors about this, but there is heavily rumored to be a scene that either takes place in the first act or the beginning of the second act in which Doctor Doom is literally visiting the house where Steve and Peggy Carter live. There's also been rumors that Loki's doing the same thing. We don't know if they're all going to meet up in Steve Rogers' living room, but again, this places him at the center of the storyline, and if he truly caused an incursion that either had detrimental effects on the 828 or on Doctor Doom's original timeline, which we do not think is the 828, it might have affected his family, which we'll see those motivations manifest in what he ends up doing with the reality in the new timeline during Avengers Secret Wars. Tangent for a different video, but in the meantime, this all seems to paint a picture and corroborate these leaks that there is a major story for Steve Rogers, and it will pick up with that character going back in time at the end of Avengers Endgame, the same way they're going to have to pick up with Tony Stark's death at the end of Avengers Endgame. And while yes, a lot has transpired during the Multiverse Saga with the introduction of a ton of new characters, here we are circling back on Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. That said, with the Ghost Rider of it all, I know the huge question will be, will this be a recast new Ghost Rider, or do we think this will be the return of Nicolas Cage? And honestly, while those details haven't been disseminated, if I had to guess, this would be Nicolas Cage returning. Look, he's still doing Spider-Man Noir live action, he's still active in Hollywood, and of course, bringing back Wesley Snipes' Blade really opened the door for them to bring back any of these legacy characters. That's what they're doing. Why go ahead and do a new recast for Ghost Rider and during Doomsday or Avengers Secret Wars when you can just save that for Phase 7 when we get to the Midnight Suns? That's when they'll be recasting Mahershala Ali as Blade. Technically, he already was Blade because of his voiceover at the end of Eternals. You know what? Again, that's a tangent for a different video too. They are still moving forward with Blade. We will have a Midnight Suns in the MCU. That's when I expect a recast for a brand new Ghost Rider. For this Ghost Rider, however, and fingers crossed, it's going to be Nick Cage back as his version, and honestly, don't expect a huge role in the film. I'm thinking that some of these characters who are returning for small cameos are simply going to be expensive cannon fodder for Doom to establish his dominance over all of these superheroes as we're headed directly into Avengers Secret Wars. And could they possibly come back as other variants during Secret Wars? Yeah, of course, it doesn't preclude them from that. I think that Marvel won't miss an opportunity for that final battle in Avengers Secret Wars to maybe be the biggest of all time on screen. They're going to get as many characters in there as possible to try to one-up Avengers Endgame. In the meantime, though, just don't expect a lot of lines or a lot of roles for any of these characters. I think Wesley Snipes' Blade had a lot of dialogue in Deadpool only because that resistance force was so small. That is not going to be the case for the cast in Avengers Doomsday. They do not have extra lines, extra scenes, extra time to get into returning small cameos like that, especially since we know now not only are they addressing Tony Stark's death as it relates to Doctor Doom and a character we haven't explored at all outside of that Fantastic Four post-credit scene, but now they have to revisit what's been going on with Steve Rogers, and since we last saw him a half-decade ago, during the end of Avengers Endgame. That's a lot to get through with not a lot of time left for Ghost Rider cameos, but you guys let me know all your thoughts down below about any and all of this. Which version of Ghost Rider would you most like to see? Do you agree it's most likely Nick Cage? And how do you feel about them going back and revisiting Steve Rogers' story, making him a main character when there's all these other characters that have yet to have as much time on screen, and even during the Multiverse Saga? I'm all ears as always. Quickly, we're still giving away PS5s at the channel. The next one is for Wonder Man. If you want to be entered to win, hit the sub button, leave a comment down below, because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will always be announced at the end of videos, live with my voice in the winning comment shown on screen. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me on Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. Find me on all other platforms under the name All Fires with original music. And while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.